Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, so today we're tackling something that I think a lot of us can relate to, especially when we're stepping into new territory with a project. It's all about finding and hiring not just any experts, but the right experts. And you know, we love to dig into the nitty-gritty here, so we're working with some really interesting material from, get this, a due diligence specialist using the pen name Allan Smithee.
Allan Smithee. Okay, already sounds like we're in for some intrigue.
Right. Keeps things interesting. But this Smithee, whoever they are, put together this advice for a project team looking to basically figure out a whole new market opportunity. They need to find the right consultant, someone who can guide them. But it's trickier than it sounds.
Oh, absolutely. Because how can you really evaluate expertise, especially in a field you're not familiar with? It's easy to be swayed by someone who, sounds impressive, uses all the right jargon. Someone who's, say, a few steps ahead of you can seem like they're miles ahead.
It's so true. It's like, what's that saying? In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king.
Exactly.
But sometimes one eye just isn't enough. Yeah, and it actually reminds me of this anecdote that Smithee shared. He was talking about, of all things, adhesives.
Adhesives. Okay, I'm intrigued. Not the most glamorous field, but I'm listening.
Right. You don't always think about it, but adhesives are everywhere. So anyway, Smithee needed an expert on this stuff, someone who really knew their stuff. And he found this guy who, get this, literally wrote the book on adhesives. Published author, the whole 9 yards.
Sounds legit.
Right. But here's the catch. As Smithee dug a little deeper, he realized this expert's knowledge was, well, let's just say it was pretty outdated. Like he'd cobbled it together from old research and assumptions.
Oh, no.
It was like finding out your GPS was using maps from the Stone Age.
Ouch. Yeah, that's not good. And that's precisely why it's not enough to just go by appearances or credentials. It's about their ability to think critically, to think for themselves.
Yeah, actually be an expert, not just play one on TV.
Exactly. And it reminded me of this quote by Roger Lowenstein that I think really drives this point home. Experts are courageous or impressionable, independent or conventional, in the same degrees as other two-legged beasts. And all of an expert's brains and training will not count for much if, at the crucial moment, he relies on someone else's brains instead of his own.
Wow. Okay. So it's not enough to just have the knowledge. It's about having the backbone to think for yourself.
Exactly. The best experts, the ones you actually want on your team, they're not afraid to challenge the status quo. They're out there doing the real digging, questioning assumptions, forming their own informed opinions. And importantly, they're not afraid to tell you when something's off, even if it's not what you want to hear.
So it's about them being honest with us, but it's also about us being proactive. Right. And that's where I think due diligence comes in. We can't just take their word for it. We need to be ready to do some digging of our own.
100%. Due diligence really just means doing your homework. Like, don't just take those reports at face value. Go back to their sources. See if they actually hold up. Even better, try to see things firsthand. If an expert says, hey, this market is ripe for the taking, well, maybe it's time for a little field trip. Get out there. Talk to potential customers yourself. You can't beat that.
That's such a good point. And speaking of getting the full picture, what about the expert's own perspective? How can we be sure they're being objective? Not just telling us what we want to hear because they want to keep the project going.
Oh man, that is such a crucial thing to be aware of. You want that objectivity, of course, but remember, experts, they're people too. They have their own biases, their own experiences, so yeah, their motivations matter. Are they actually excited about this project? Do they believe in it? Or does it feel like they're just going through the motions?
It's almost like, dating. Got to see those red flags early.
Exactly. And another one of those red flags, outdated information. Remember our Stone Age GPS expert from before? Same idea. Look at their sources. Are they current? Are they tapped into what's happening now? The best experts. They're plugged into those informal networks, hearing about the trends before they even hit the mainstream.
It's like they always say, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Right.
It's about that access. They have their finger on the pulse.
Exactly. And sometimes, and Smithee seems to be a big believer in this, one expert just isn't enough. Sometimes you need a whole team.
100%. You might need someone who's a research whiz, but then you also need someone who can build those relationships, like with key customers. So figure out what you need and don't be afraid to assemble a dream team of experts.
It's like building a well-balanced portfolio, but instead of stocks, it's experts. I like it. But with all these different voices at the table, how do you navigate confidentiality? Oh, that's where those confidentiality agreements come in. They're pretty standard and they protect everyone involved. The consultant knows their insights won't be shared all over the place, and you're protected from, them taking your $1 million idea to your competitor.
Right, so it's all about striking that balance between being open and protecting your interests.
Exactly, you got it.
This is a lot to consider, but I think that's what makes this so valuable.
Absolutely. These are the questions that can make or break a project.
So, to wrap things up, what have we learned today? Due diligence is key. Question everything. And remember, you're not just hiring an expert. You're hiring their expertise, their network, their judgment,
Yeah.
the whole package.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And on that note, here's a little something for you to ponder. How can you take this trust but verify approach and apply it not just to experts, but to all the information that comes your way? Think about it. That's all the time we have for this deep dive, but we'll see you next time. Keep those brains buzzing.